Imagine stepping out on an ordinary day in Dublin, doing a few simple errands, and disappearing forever. That's exactly what happened to the 26-year-old American Annie McCarrick in March 1993. For more than 3 decades, her case became one of Ireland's most haunting mysteries. But as of June 2025, everything changed. For the first time, a suspect was arrested. A cadaver dog arrived at a Clondalkin home, and excavation work began. Tonight, we're diving deep into Annie's final hours. The twists and turns of this cold case and what's unfolding right now. Annie Bridget McCarrick was born on Long Island, New York on March 21, 1967. After falling in love with Ireland during student visits, Annie settled into an apartment on St. Catherine's Court in Sandymount with 2 flatmates. She worked at Café Java and the Courtyard restaurant and was making plans both personal and professional. She was radiant, hopeful, and eager to build a life abroad. On Friday, March 26th, Annie was last seen at a Sandymount AIB branch around 11 a.m. withdrawing cash. She then shopped at Quinsworth, wrapping groceries to bring home. Her flatmates saw her when she returned, later planning to host a dinner for the weekend. But Saturday passed without a sighting. On Sunday, the groceries lay untouched. No one knew where she is, and panic set in. That was the last confirmed trace of any frozen in time by a grocery bag and a bank receipt. Garda launched Operation Trace. Alerts went out, searches began not only in Dublin, but also in Enniskerry and Glencullen. Witnesses reported glimpses of someone like her on mountain roads and in pubs, but none were confirmed. Irish newspapers latched onto the rumor that she vanished into the fabled vanishing triangle of Leinster, but that only led police astray, dragging the investigation miles from Sandymount, while the real story likely stayed close to her home. Dark shadows emerged in 1993. Close friends later revealed that Annie had expressed distress about being pressured by a man she knew, someone from her social circle from the late 1980s. They said he'd slapped her during an argument while intoxicated. They even faxed these concerns. But at the time, police probably dismissed it as unsubstantiated, and the lead faded. In 2008, the case was reopened, but solely as a missing person investigation. It wasn't until 2020, when US-based lawyer Michael Griffith and private investigators reviewed the file, that the focus sharpened. They concluded she likely never left Sandymount. The mysterious sightings in Wicklow, including a doorman's vision at Johnny Fox's pub, were probably misidentifications. Rachel, the friend with concerns, came forward with a revised account in 2022 that reignited police interest. The cold case was gaining momentum again. In March 2023, Garda officially reclassified Annie's disappearance as a murder investigation, identifying 2 men of interest. One lived abroad, another near Dublin. Phones, computers, emails, faxes, all were re-examined. Witness statements were retaken. The case finally received the seriousness it deserved. Then came June 12, 2025, arrested a 62-year-old businessman from Comeath, someone Annie had known since university, previously interviewed during the initial inquiry. It wasn't a random grabbing it was a carefully focused move. This man had supplied alibis at the time. But with fresh evidence, these were flagged as inconsistent. One even came from a family member. He'd also been accused of harassing Annie and making unwanted advances. He was arrested under Section 4, detained for the legal maximum of 24 hours. When he was released on June 13th without charge, still confirmed, he remains the prime suspect, demonstrating how far things have progressed. They concurrently initiated a forensic search at a Clondalkin residence linked to him. This prompted the arrival of Fern, cadaver dog from the PSNI trained to detect decomposing remains. Previously instrumental in finding Tina Satchwell's body buried beneath her own stairs, Fern and heavy machinery diggers, jackhammers, consaws worked relentlessly over the weekend in areas like basements, gardens, and driveways. A temporary no-fly zone was even enforced to prevent drone surveillance, underscoring the operation's seriousness. It was led by a serious crime unit, cold case review team, and the National Technical Bureau, anything but a casual inquiry. At stake now is what Fern might uncover. Cadaver dogs are trained to detect remains even decades old. Despite changing ground, clothing, or depth, trained on pig carcasses buried for years to simulate long-term decomposition. If the dog causes an alert, soil samples and forensic analysis could follow, possibly indicating a grave. In past Irish cases, this method has yielded results. Even after the new suspect release, Garda are continuing to re-interview witnesses, people who knew both Annie and the suspect, even those now abroad. They're rechecking every statement, re-examining phones and computers seized, and hunting for contradictions. They are also urging anyone with information, if it's seemingly trivial, to come forward anonymously via the Garda confidential line. After 32 years, no detail is too small. Annie's mother, Nancy, shared in recent interviews that she's cautiously hopeful. She spoke about the pain of unanswered questions and the lingering grief of so many years without a final resting place. Private lawyer Michael Griffith, who's worked tirelessly on the case, emphasized how important it is to unearth truth's 7 uncomfortable ones. One friend noted the 2022 statements helped unravel the alibis. They're pleading with the public. If you remember anything, even from 1993, it may be the missing piece. At this moment, in June 2025, the investigation stands on a knife edge. If cadaver dog alerts are substantiated with soil and forensic evidence and digital data supports a timeline placing Annie with this man, Garda could prepare a file to send to the Director of Public Prosecutions. That would lead to formal charges and potentially opening a criminal case for the first time. If remains are found, Annie's family may at last have closure. The gravestone her father never saw erected, the record of what happened, and, most importantly, justice served. This case reminds us that no disappearance is beyond help. Cold cases can reheat. That modern technology combined with human determination can revive an investigation after 30 years of silence. Subscribe to Ghost of Fact and follow every update in this investigation, because this may finally be more than hope it. Maybe the closure a grieving mother has prayed for, the justice that was denied for too long, and proof that truth still matters even decades later. Let me know what you think happened in the comments, and stay with me for more true crime stories.